Hello dear students, myself Dr. Amita Telang, and today I am going to discuss a very important topic in computer networking, that is switching process in networking. Let us start this topic. Let us see need for switching. Internet is a combination of different types of network that are connected together with the help of connecting devices. The devices attached to the network that has to communicate through this network can be referred to as end node. And to achieve one-to-one communication between these nodes, a point-to-point communication can be established. But this is literally impractical when it comes to larger network. A point-to-point network increases the number of links in the network, which increases the cost of infrastructure. The length of links also puts a limitation on the size of network. Moreover, most of the links in the network are idle when there is no communication between the nodes. So, an alternative option to avoid this is switching. Switched network routes data from one node to another node by switching it through the nodes. The nodes are also referred to as switches. The switches are able to create a temporary connection between the two end nodes that are linked through these switches. Now, switching can be performed in three different ways: circuit switching, packet switching, and message switching. The first two techniques are common nowadays. Here we will discuss first circuit switching. So in circuit switching, whenever a source end node wants to send a message to the destination end node, a physical link has to be established between the source and the destination. Once the link is established, the entire message is transmitted from source to destination through this link. Remember, the messages are not divided into packets here. After the message is transferred, the source node informs the network to open all the switches to terminate this physical link. Next time, when the same source and destination have to communicate again, they have to establish a dedicated physical link between them before they start communication and have to terminate the link after the communication gets completed. This is the phases include in circuit switching. Phase 1, circuit establishment. Here, a dedicated circuit between source and destination is established with the help of numerous intermediate switching centers. The requesting and receiving of the communication signals are possible when the sender and receiver transmit signals across the circuit. Second phase, data transfer. The transfer of data and voice signals are possible between the source and the destination after the establishment of the circuit. The connection between both end parties continues as long as they communicate. Third phase, circuit disconnection. The disconnection in the circuit happens when one of the users initiates to disconnect. When the disconnection takes place, all the intermediate links between sender and receiver are removed. Now let us see some of the characteristics of circuit switching network. Circuit switching provides dedicated communication path between two devices for the duration of the communication. Hence, we reserve the bandwidth for the entire conversation. This result guarantees bandwidth, which can be important for applications that require a constant data rate. This type of switching technique is suitable for continuous transmission of data as the data remains in conversation. Here, the rate of communication is steady and dedicated path for transmission. One more characteristic is with the establishment of the circuit, there are no intermediate delays that makes it suitable for voice and data transmission. Along with the characteristics and advantages, there are some disadvantages associated with circuit switching. Some major disadvantages make it less suitable for modern computer network. Circuit switching requires the dedicated communication path to be reserved for the entire duration of the communication. This results in the inefficient use of bandwidth as the dedicated path isn't being utilized during this time. One more disadvantage, as there is an establishment of dedicated connection between both ends, the transmission of any data is challenging. Data with low volume demand high bandwidth here, and the establishment time is very high. The uses of system resource become underutilized as the repetition of resources for other connections is not possible. Here is the architecture of circuit switching. So this is the general architecture where we use circuit switching technique to transfer data from computer 1 to computer 3. As you can see here that here is a dedicated path shown in the red arrow that connect computer 1 to computer 3. Circuit switching isn't commonly used in computer network as it isn't very efficient for data transmission. We reserve the dedicated path for the entire duration of the communication. Therefore, we waste a significant amount of bandwidth during this time. Additionally, circuit switching is not well suited for network with high traffic volume. However, we will still use circuit switching in some specialized applications, such as satellite communications, where the delay of packet switching can be prohibitive. Let us see some of the examples of circuit switching network. First, we will see types of switches in circuit switching. There are two types of switches available, space division and time division. Space division switching is a technique of circuit switching where the paths in the circuits are separated from each other spatially. This technology is used for analog as well as digital network. In this following, switches are used for the connection. Space division switching, there are two types of switches are used. Crossbar switch, this switch contains n input lines and output lines and it has n two intersection points. And second one is multi-stage switch. It is made just by first splitting the crossbar switches into smaller units and then interconnecting them. In case of failure of one path, there is the possibility of another path. The speed of space division switching is high and it has a high capacity. Space division switching contains non-blocking switches. Second type of circuit switching is time division switching. It is a digital switching technique. There is no need for cross points in this switching. In time division switching, the incoming signals as well as outgoing signals are received and retransmitted in a different time slot. One of the main difference between space division multiplexing and time division multiplexing is the sharing of cross points. There are no cross points shared in space division switching, whereas cross points can be shared for shorter periods in time division switching. Time division switches are used by modern devices, and in this technique there is the use of time division multiplexing inside the switch, and it is known as time slot interchange. Let us see some of the examples of circuit switching network: public switched telephone network, optical mesh network, ISDN, B channels, circuit switch data, high speed circuit switch data. These are some of the basic examples of circuit switching. One of the best example of circuit switching is a telephone. Suppose here are two persons, A and B. They both want to communicate with each other and located at the distance far from each other. Person A makes a call to person B, and this phase is the setup phase of circuit switching. After the establishment of connection and after call pickup by the person B, they both can communicate with each other. This is data transfer phase of circuit switching. Once the communication is complete, one of them can cut the call and break the connection. This is a tear down phase. This is the best example to explain circuit switching. That's it for today. Thank you so much.